Season 4 of Night Fever is coming July 3rd. Mark your calendars.
Money, success, fame, glamour. Money, success, fame, glamour.
Hello, I'm James St. James. This is Night Fever, New York nightlife legends of the 70s, 80s, 90s, and beyond. I am joined, as always, by my co-hosts, the co-founders of World of Wonder, Fenton Bailey and Randy Barbado. We are celebrating the nightlife icons, the party monsters, the club kids, the disco dollies, the divas and deities of downtown, night crawlers, legends all, the architects of the club scene. Today, our guest is a downtown superstar. He is a drag queen extraordinaire. He is a performance artist and a cabaret chanteuse. He is a movie star in movies like Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Big Top Pee-wee, Flawless, Tu Wong Fu, Thanks for Everything, Julie Newmar, Mondo, New York. I could go on and on and on. He was also with Zumanity, Cirque du Soleil, for 6 years in Las Vegas. And that is just the tip of his amazing 5-decade-long career. We are going to try and get to everything. I don't know how we're going to do it in an hour, but ladies, gentlemen, our non-binary friends, everybody, please welcome Joey Arias.
Hello, everybody. How you doing? I was going to say one thing.
Yes.
I'm not a queen.
Yes.
I'm a goddess.
Drag goddess, of course. My God, we have to start over again.
Because the thing is that there's too many queens out there. It's like going to a chicken farm and seeing all the little chickens everywhere. So they're all queens. Only a goddess can sit there on top of the mountain and look down. Or
You
look
are the
up.
empress of drag. You are
No,
the
no, just
arena of drag.
No, just the goddess, dear.
Just the goddess. You know, I feel like I talk to you every day since you've joined Twitter. It's such a joy to have you on Twitter. But I think it's been almost 4 years since I've seen you. The last time I saw you was at Giorgio's here in Los Angeles on New Year's Eve.
Right.
Yes.
But the thing is that I saw you also at Aries of the Twist, and I haven't seen Fenton and you guys forever. I'm like, I can't even talk. Like, I got so excited. And Randy, my God, to see you both together, you both look fantastic.
Stop. I'm really excited to see you too. Like super excited to see you. I think the last time I saw you, you might not have known I was there, was when you performed at Disney Hall at I don't know how many years ago that was. It was amazing.
The puppet show? That was incredible. It was like every movie star came to that. It was unbelievable. 1 month, 10 shows a week. It was unbelievable. And in New York also. I was so used to it because in Las Vegas, it was 10 shows a week with Cirque du Soleil. So I have this, like, I was, as Michael Holman, as you know, Michael Holman, he saw Aries with a Twist and he looked at me and said, I can't say anything except you were engineered to perform.
You
Very Michael Holman.
Yes. You have that old, you're Ann Miller of drag. You were just going, wind you up and watch you go. I wanted to start in the early 70s with Pearly and the band that you were signed with Capitol Records, and you released a song that was very hippie, trippy. Tell me about that. What?
Well, growing up in, I'm originally from North Carolina, but I really think I was like abducted from Roswell as an alien baby and given to my mother because my mother used to tell me, I don't know who you are. You're not my child. You're like somebody gave it to me. You're not my baby. So I always like say, I'm from Roswell. So we used to laugh about that. So then we'd moved to Los Angeles and I went to school there, Catholic school. So I sang in choirs and I was like, I was in church singing Santiago Sacramento. So I thought I was a nun on top of that. Anyway, so we listened to music and I had the neighborhood guys that playing music. So we got together, we started playing music. I'm going to kind of rush it. And then we started this band. We used to play Battle of the Bands and this and that, and play the colleges when we were kids. And then we got signed to this management company, and then they signed us to Capitol Records. And they put us in all those teen magazines, and this is like 1970. And we released our first record called Burgerette. and it was about a girl from New York her name is Courtney Harmel, and she was the first girl in New York to be breakdancing. She could dance on anything, on top of counters, stools, cars, and so it was all about her. So that kind of was a big hit with the teen magazine fans.
Did you co-write that? Like, were you? I know you have an amazing voice. Were you also writing music?
Oh yeah, I write music too. I write songs and write. That's what I do a lot. I wrote 4 songs in Cirque du Soleil, so that's what I do. And so besides writing and singing, and then I actually quit and joined the Groundlings, the improv group.
Wait, I imagine this was the period. I know Lorraine Newman was one of the Groundlings when you were there, right? And is this when you met Paul Rubin and Cassandra? And no, okay.
So this is what happened. So Gary Austin, the founder, was a dear friend of mine before the Groundlings. He called me and said, "Get rid of that fucking group and just get the fuck out of that. What the fuck are you doing with this punky kids shit? Come to see the show." So I went to go see the Groundlings at Oxford. And I was like, oh my God, this is blowing my mind. And so afterwards, he just said, "I know you loved it. Tomorrow you start classes." That's all he said. And there I was joining the Groundlings. I was with them 7 days a week, doing classes, hanging out. There was Lorraine Newman, and there was other people that you didn't know of. And eventually, Phil Hartman joined. Edie McClurg joined.
Oh, Edie McClurg.
These people joined when I was there. Eventually, we moved to the Melrose. Then I moved to New York in '76. And when I moved to the Groundlings were calling me and saying, "We missed the crazy Joey, but there's a new kind of a crazy character. His name's Paul Rubens, and he's the new Joey of the Groundlings." And so I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden they would say, "He's got this character named Pee Wee. Oh my God, it'll blow your mind. He's so hysterical." That's all I knew. And then I knew Elvira because she was the coffee girl at Fuchi.
Oh,
So we became good friends. And then she moved to LA and started getting hurt. And then she joined the Groundlings. So all these people joined the Groundlings after I left. So I'm kind of like one of the original,
Wow.
16. I'm like one of the original 16. And I look good for 100 years old, right?
when you left the Groundlings and you came to New York, you drove cross country with Kim Hostetter, who was the future co-founder of Paper Magazine, and it's the two of you in a car going cross country, and
In a covered wagon.
In a covered wagon, and I would love to be a fly on the wall during that car ride. Do you remember what the
I remember
songs were that
everything.
you sang and the conversations you had and
So my friend Bo Allen, no one talks about him. He was my mentor, and he introduced me to Kim when I was in LA. He said, "You're going to meet this girl. She's going to Cal Arts." So I met her in '74, and then we became great friends for those 2 years. And then when she was going to graduate, I was getting ready to blow to New York. So I said, "I'll accompany you and drive cross country with you." So she had this big truck. So when we packed it and covered it up, it was like a covered wagon. So we drove to Las Vegas and we dropped Quaaludes and we went all the casinos fucked up. I never forget Kim was on the one hand bandit, with her head would just drool knocked out. and somebody said, "Mister, you can't." She was like hanging at this, wearing a Claire McCardle Schiaparelli dress. She broke her heel. We had to climb in her truck. We were there for 4 days. But we drove cross country I was going to say shoplifting, thrift shopping. We go to a city and tear out the thrift shops and go, and it was just great. We had a ball.
And could you ever have imagined then that what your career was going to be? What was it that you thought you were going to do once you got to New York?
All I wanted to do when I came to New York was find my tribe, find the people that were misfits, people that in LA that did not understand me, because I used to go for movie auditions. They had casted me in Carrie because all the Groundlings were in Carrie. And we actually went to Cantor's with Stephen King because he was with all the Groundlings, and we all sat together. And then when I went on set, they said, "You don't fit in as one of the high school kids." And he let me go, and I thought, that was it. I'm done. I'm out of here. So Hollywood was not for me. And so I just felt, Andy Warhol, superstars, the underground, the strange, the different. I thought, let me reinvent myself in New York. And I just came here. I kissed the sky and I said, "New York City, I'm yours. Do whatever you want. I'm here to stay. And I cut LA. I didn't tell anybody about music, groundlings, and nothing. I just came and reinvented myself. And I got the job at Fuchi, and I just started, and the store just opened up.
Well, ding, 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 ding.
Tell us about Fuchi, because it was one of the first hip, cool labels, right?
Yes.
Of fashion.
Well, I tell people it was like people came to New York to see Empire State Building, World Trade Center, and Fuchi. And the store was like brand new, Italian Milan chic boutique. Not crazy, no nothing. Beautiful music, beautifully lit. And we sold tons of clothes. It wasn't like a kooky place. I mean, I was the one that stood out because I knew a lot of the people that came in, so I always kept my eye on the door, and I knew that I had made a salary, but then you made commission. So I wanted to make a lot. I was the one that was selling like crazy, and so I became a stylist to Jackie Onassis, and I remember Calvin Klein coming in there looking what the hip jeans were because he was looking for jeans, and also Gloria Vanderbilt. I showed her the stretch jeans that were brand new, and she was like, "Oh, stretch jeans." So I sold her 15 pairs of them, and then 6 months later, Gloria Vanderbilt and her new stretch jeans.
I'm Gloria Vanderbilt from Rajani.
It was all Fuchi copy because I was just really making sales, but I was friendly to people, and the clothing was just exceptional, and the marketing and the way the store was set up, it was so beautiful, and people came in just to see what it was all about because there was nothing like it in New York. So it was like home to me.
I imagine, though, that like you said, it was sort of a nexus for uptown, downtown fashion society. Everybody came there at some point. But they often say that you did the windows with Vincent Gallo. Is that true?
What happened was the windows were always just very chic. They would have this maybe a couple of outfits hanging with the silver boots and some cap. And then it was Antonio Lopez, who was the first one to become the artistic director in 77, 76, and put new mannequins, and then he would put Pat Cleveland, Jerry Hall in the window to model the look. So that became the first windows of Fuchi of live mannequins. So no one ever saw that before. So then it wouldn't happen. Then also it'd be like a Broadway show. He'd bring the who's going to be on Broadway into the window. And so it was kind of like with Antonio's touch and Italian flair. So that's what it was. Vincent Gallo popped in shop, and people just popped around. He was a kid. He was like an art goofball,
I imagine a young Vincent Gallo was pretty yummy, though. I imagine he was just absolutely adorable.
He was a doorbell, yes.
And during that time, you were going out in the evenings, and what was your nightlife vibe at that time?
Well, when I first came to New York in 76, for about 3 months, 2 months, I went with my friend Bo, and we went to every club in New York City. The Toilet, Crisco's Disco, everybody's, Uptown, every gay bar, every club, La Mouche, all these bizarre
The Gilded
places.
Grape, was that around?
The Gilded Grape. There was
Yeah.
I went to all of it, to every club that was in New York. And just so I wanted to get the feeling of these clubs. And I never forget, there was a club up on 86th Street in the East Side. And it was kind of like a gay bar with a bit of a back room because I lived at 78th in New York at the time. And we were having some drinks, and all of a sudden the door opened, and these guys walked in, kind of like rock star types. And I remember looking, and all of a sudden I thought, no, it can't be. And I kind of followed into the dark room, and it was Freddie Mercury. And in the dark room, and I had this little like night light. So I was in the dark room, I could hear and it was all dark, and I put this little bit of light, and there was Freddie Mercury with 2 dicks in his mouth, and the guy fucking him in the ass. I was like, I never forgot that image. Like, still burnt in my mind. I have nightmares thinking about it.
I think it's burned in my mind forever now, too.
So I saw a lot of stuff. I mean, the early club days in New York were, really intense. I kind of went to everything. So I lived uptown. I come downtown. The first week I met Debbie Harry. Blondie wasn't even signed yet. They were doing this thing at CBGB's, and It was for a German TV show, and we're sitting there, and all like the Ramones and people, they gave me this look like who was I? Because I was new to New York. And then I watched them do their thing, and then the camera stopped, and Debbie came down. She like talked to people, and then she said, "Who are you? I've never seen you before." I said, "I'm Joey. I just moved here." And she goes, "Oh my God, you look great." She goes, "Are they nice to you?" I said, "No." She goes, "They're jealous." I said, "What's your name?" She goes, "I'm Debbie." So what's the name of your band? She goes, "We're called Blondie. We're trying to get a record deal." I said, "You guys are great." And then that was in June, and in July, August, I think it got signed. And then that first week, I met Klaus, who was a baker and an opera singer, and kind of like a stinky old German guy losing his hair, And not, I shouldn't say old. He was just like a very unusual KDK, and I just started meeting people, just like it was what you did. You just ran around.
Let's talk for a second about Klaus, because it was a very seminal relationship for you. It was very important, and I think you two fed off of each other creatively.
The minute I met Klaus, KDK introduced me to Klaus in my first week in New York, and he happened to be right outside. We were walking on the street, and he had like a fedora on, aviator sunglasses, a pinstripe Brooks Brothers shirt, chinos on, and brown chocolate penny loafers, and holding a bag. And I said, "Klaus," Katie's like, "Oh my God, Klaus, this is Joey." He's like, "Oh, Joey, nice to meet you. What are you doing?" Joey just moved here. "Oh, great. You should come over to my house Saturday. I make kuchen and coffee. Please come over." So I went to his house on Saturday. We had coffee and cake, and we talked about Capitol Records and what I was doing and what I was doing in New York. And he was talking about opera and what he was doing. I loved Maria Callas and Elvis Presley. And so it was that day that we literally bonded and never stopped talking. Literally, we talked every day. It was just like this person that we just became like soul brothers, not lovers, but friends, married, not married. We were something like an extraterrestrial biological entity relationship, a symbiotic relationship.
Who came up with the extraterrestrial look? Where did that come from? How did that sort of come about?
Well, I think that for Klaus, it's called old age. No, that was like, it was like Klaus just had that look, and it was like, he was very paranoid about his look. He wanted to look, hit that high forehead, and we all have high foreheads. Anyway, I used to put makeup on him and accentuate his forehead and make him look like an alien. He'd be like, "Why do you do that to me?" And so we laughed about it. But it was just something, we just played with. There was nothing that he thought, "I'm going to be an alien." It was just, things just grew that way. We never planned things like, "Oh, we're going to do Bauhaus." We never planned that. We never planned Robot. It just happened. Everything just happened by mistake, one thing after the other. Klaus was in a heavy metal punk band that was so shitty. He was trying to play guitar, and it was like, and he was like screaming. And he said, "What do you think?" I said, "It's the worst, Klaus. Don't do that." And then Antonio had an art party. And that's when Klaus showed up some black lipstick and wore it like kind of like punky. That was the first time he kind of got punked out. And then also the New Wave Vaudeville show. So it was Klaus Sperber and Adrian, and was kind of like, was more sci-fi. Had turned us on to Omni magazine. So I guess they were out. Klaus was after Adrian. He wanted to suck his cock really bad. And so they were out, and Adrian stole the poster, took it to Klaus's house, and Adrian was supposed to perform with Klaus, but Adrian eventually bowed out. They told Klaus, "Your name is in the poster." So Klaus was writing, "Klaus, Ebony, Omni, Omni, Nomi. Nomi? Do you know me?" So he told me this afterwards, because when we saw the vaudeville show, we're all sitting there, it was packed, and then when David came up, "And now, ladies and gentlemen, and now Klaus Nomi," and we all went, "Klaus Nomi? What the fuck is that?" Then he came out and sung the aria, and just sang it like the way he did, because that's all he had. That's all he had was spandex, and he loved plastic. It wasn't he was trying to be like an alien. He just wanted to have that. That was a costume. But everything just. And so he said, "What do you think of that name?" I said, I don't get it. Klaus Nomi, no. I like Sperber." He goes, "Sperber's not not a star name." He goes, "We'll get used to it." I said, "Well, okay, we'll see what happens." But of course, it grew on us.
I know you've been asked 100,000 million billion times, but Saturday Night Live. How did it happen, and what was your relationship with David? And just give us the high points.
Everybody would hear like Bowie was spotted somewhere, but we'd kind of try to hang out there, or Bowie was sitting there. And we try to be cool, And so we were just like Bowie freaks. I've been Bowie freaks since 1971 or whatever, when I was a kid in LA, Klaus in Germany. So it happened to be over at the Mud Club one night, and we were very Nomi like, we had our thing already. And then this girl, Green, who used to work at Vidal Sassoon, it was like 4 a.m. I think we had done a lot of coke that night. We were on the 3rd floor, the 4th floor. We were kind of really high. It was really late. And and she said, say good night to David. And we said, David, we looked. And there was Bowie against the wall. And we were like, oh no, this is, and we were, being coked up. We were all like, and so we started walking over there, and there was a bodyguard stopped us. But I was also with me. I had this Russian guy that was a hitman. Nobody knows that. And I met him at Fuchi, and it was like this, he was kind of like a boyfriend. I didn't know he was a hitman until his jacket fell out, and a German Luger with a silencer fell out. That's a different story. And he told me that he was in America to pick up stolen papers and jewelry that was stolen from Russia. And he had this gun with him. I was like, oh my, but he had this weird, like, that ESP thing. So he goes, don't worry about it. I'm talking to this man. When I go like this, come. So he went to the black guy, and instead of the black man doing this, and then you see the Russian guy go like this. And Klaus and I went right there, tapped David on the shoulder, and David turned around and went, oh my God, Klaus Nomi! And he goes, I just got back from Berlin. Everyone's talking about you. And he goes, I'm dying to meet you. Oh my God. And he goes, I have to get out of here. He got this like eyeliner from the girl on a piece of toilet paper, wrote his name and a phone number. He said, call me tomorrow. Hugged Klaus, give me a hug. And we were just like, oh my God. David, and all coked up. And so we left like kind of like high. Klaus called him. Klaus and Paige Wood met with Bowie and showed him the films of the shows. And Bowie was like, tongue hanging out. It was like, oh my God, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. So it was going to be Tony Basil and Klaus on these different kind of productions. And Klaus was telling me like, we're going to do this. No, we're not. We're going to do that. No, we're not. And then one day I came home from Fuchi, and he said, everything changed. We're going to do Saturday Night Live. I was like, oh my God, that's great. You and Tony Basil. He goes, no, it changed. He goes, we got rid of Tony Basil. I said, what? And he goes, David wants to know if you'll do it because we matched. I was like, are you shitting me? He goes, do you want to do it? I said, what do you think? So he called RCA and he said, how about Joey out? And so we went on Monday, and that was the beginning of rehearsal on a Monday.
Wow.
And we sat for that first day for like 4 hours in a little tiny room. It was like close, like literally our faces were this close, like, and David talked about his life. Klaus talked about his life. I talked about my life. And David was like all ears. He had everything filmed. He had cameras. He had cameras on up there. He had cameras everywhere. He told us he was going to film it. So, that film exists somewhere, and I don't know where it's at.
Wow, they got to find that.
I know, right? Exactly. This is Zach.
Hi, Zach.
Hi, Zach.
Zach is my producer, my record producer for the new album.
Oh, when's the new album coming out?
Yeah, the new album, we went to Pachyderm Studios in southern Minnesota, worked with Joey's longtime band leader, Elliot, and a bunch of studio musicians, and came out with 22 songs?
23.
Yeah, and the album's going to be a 9-song album. So,
And you said that one of them was up with the old Pearly song that you had done.
Yeah, Up Last Night. Yeah, totally sort of went to a post-apocalyptic 808 vibe from this early 70s thing, it was fun.
When's it coming out, and what's it called, the album?
It'll be next year for sure. Now.
Yeah, we're sort of starting overdubs here now with Joey and really hitting all the vocals, and then.
This is the man who's like pushing me in a certain direction, which is great. I'm honored and I'm following his direction.
Well, I'm really following Joey's, but also it's totally going in a new direction. But it's just Joey. It really is.
So this is kind of an exclusive scoop right now.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be on here at all.
This is completely exclusive. This is like
We're breaking some hot news. This is very exciting.
You're breaking my hymen. What are you talking about?
That and Freddie Mercury getting fucked up the ass. Those are our two takeaways.
and also, I should say the film.
You can say that.
And then also I don't want to say documentary, but a film of my life.
Well, you got to find that footage of the Bowie shot of you in Saturday Night Live, because that's like.
That's all with the archives, and it's very, very difficult. It's like Fort Knox.
Hmm.
We'll break in somehow.
We'll break in. Maybe you guys can do that. You're a world of wonder.
Right. We'll call up and say, open the archives. Does Iman look after the archives then? Is that who controls all the stuff?
She controls a lot, but there's like an archives of the costumes and other stuff. I think there's 3 archives, and they're very, very protective. Because I have the keyhole costume, the Bowie coat, the keyhole from the 1984 floor show. I'm not going to tell you how it came to me, but I had it for years. And David knew I had it. I told him about it. Anyway, so he's going to leave soon, but I wanted to introduce Zach.
This has been a pleasure listening to this. Yeah, hi guys.
Good to meet you.
Glad to break this news.
Good luck with finishing the album. I can't wait to hear it.
I want to talk a little bit about Club 57, which is something that I had been hearing about my entire time in New York City. I love the shoulder action happening here for our listeners who are not watching. But Club 57 is something that has attained sort of a mythical status, and so many people came out of it: KDK, John Sex, Fab Five Freddy,
Basquiat, Herring, John Sex.
Yeah, keep going, and Magnuson.
It started as the Monster Movie Club. Maybe Fenton and Randy, you guys used to go also?
Never went.
We were just at the edge of Club 57.
Okay.
So we I mean, we knew a lot of people from it, but we never went.
We never went. It was closed. I think it had gone by the time we came to New York.
Okay, so it opened up as the Monster Movie Club because we were all in the neighborhood. So it was just the gang. It was a little shitty Polish hall underneath the church, literally a shitty Polish hall. This little crappy room, and they would show films, and we'd all be in there screaming and laughing with the big, the big reel-to-reel and popcorn and whatever. And then eventually, after about a month or so, Anne started, instead of doing it every Tuesday, Anne started booking like events like prom night or Girls on Fire or mud wrestling or the art show. But Anne was doing that. There's a discrepancy here with Susan Hannaford and Anne. And so anyway, so it became like this weekly, so there's something to do every night there. So that's where we all hung out. No one was famous. I was, top stylist for Fuchi. Claus was like opera, but pastry. Keith and those guys were going to SVA, and everyone was just kind of doing stuff, But it was drawing and doing. Kenny Sharp was painting, and it was just like kooky and crazy and fun.
What a great melding pot of so much talent! Like the people that came out of that, just pretty extraordinary. And it also feels like it was the beginning of that East Village art scene exploding, right? Because
Well, it was kind of it was the beginning of it all. There was other things. I mean, there were things going on, but we happened to be that focus because Basquiat, and it was like that strength because we were like a unit at that point. So you could not get your eyes off what we were doing because everyone kept saying, like, oh, and then from Keith doing poetry to doing the baby, and then everything just started changing. I remember Basquiat walking around trying to sell the little cards like scribble and, hey man, can you buy that for $20? I thought $20 is like a week's worth of food, man. Why am I going to buy a cardboard with a scribble on it? That's ridiculous. I did buy one eventually. So, yeah.
For $20, or did you have to pay more? Or was it free? Did you get a free one?
I got it for $20 because I was the Mud Club's first door person.
There's a reference in Andy Warhol's diaries, I think, where he met Basquiat. He was walking around Soho, and Basquiat was selling his postcards and
Yeah.
he bought some. I think that was how Andy met
Yeah.
Basquiat, right?
Yeah, because he'd walk around. He was very bold about it because he was kind of like high on pot. And he didn't care. He'd walk up to police or anybody who looked like they had money. He just walked up. And of course, we all looked at Andy Warhol as our savior. I mean, all of us. That was Andy Warhol was God. I came to New York to meet God.
Tell us about the first time you met him. I got to hear a few Andy Warhol stories. I don't want to interrupt James's chronology, but like,
we're going to be bouncing because there's too much. I remember, coming to New York, it was like, oh my God, Andy Warhol. And so there I am at Fuchi, and I was doing something, and I saw him walking, and I turned white, and I ran downstairs. And then somebody came downstairs and said, Joey, you have to come upstairs. I said, what? He goes, Andy wants to meet you. And I was like, I couldn't even talk. So I came upstairs slowly. I had kind of like a burgundy hair and a striped Fuchi top. And he looked at me and went, wow, hi, Red. And I was like, hi. And he goes, I'm Andy Warhol. And I said, hi, Andy. And he goes, this is my friend, Truman Capote. And so I'm between both of them, they're like, wow, you look great. And Andy signed them to Red with all my love. And so did Truman Capote. And they looked at me, and these guys walked in, and Truman looked at me, and Andy goes, do you think those guys have big cocks? And right there, it was like kind of like, okay, we're sisters. And it was the beginning of it. So we just became friends. And so when I told people I met Andy, they were like, oh my God. So it was kind of wild to become friends with Andy. But we actually became close when Benjamin Liu,
His assistant,
who
is also Ming Vaz, the drag queen.
We got Meg Vaz. He said, call me on Saturday. Let's go to the movies. I said, okay. He gave me a number. It was Saturday. I have a day off. So I called the number. It was up 3 in the afternoon. Phone rang. I heard, hello. And I said, Ming Vaz? Benjamin? No, she doesn't work on Saturdays. Who's this? I said, this is Joey. Joey who? Joey Arias? Oh, wow. You're famous. I was like, who's this? Andy. I said, Andy who? Andy Warhol. What are you doing? I said, well, we're going to go to the movies. He goes, oh, I want to go to the movies. You want to go? And I'm like, sure. Meet me at Serendipity. So I met him at Serendipity. When I got there was this ice cream banana float sculpture. All I could see was the top. It was the wig, the hair, and all this ice cream and a cherry on top. I think we took a couple of pics of it, and everyone was taking pictures, and we went to the movies. And
do you remember what you saw?
The movie was called, oh God, something Maria. Oh, I can't. If it comes to me, I'll tell you. But he bought a big popcorn, 2 big sodas, all the candy. We sat down. The theater was packed. The movie started, and he passed out, and he was snoring. So we just sat there. When the movie just ended, he put his head up and he went, wow, that was the best movie I ever saw. And then I kind of lied. I said, do you remember when she got strangled and they threw her off the airplane? He goes, I was freaking out when they did that. Nothing like that ever happened. And then we got the popcorn and the soda, threw it in the garbage, and I walked him back home. That was our first date. And then I had dinner with Dali and Gala.
Tell us, keep going, never stop.
I don't know I can't say too much, but this friend of mine said, Dali is looking for a muse. I can't tell you who the muse was because she'll kill me.
What? No, come on, you've got to tell us.
And so she agreed. And so we went to the Palm Court room, and there was Gala with the big pair of scissors cutting his man's mustache, and Dali sitting there with a big chair. And it was like people like this older couple and younger, basically older people in tuxedos. And we were all like kind of punked out, weird. And she wore like a leopard dress with combat boots and a leather jacket. And he got up and he was like, and we were all like, oh my God. Very tough. And then he said, drink. So they came and she got, I think she got a margarita, and I ordered a grasshopper. And so I'm drinking, and then Gala looked at me. She says, excuse me, what are you drinking? I said, I'm drinking a grasshopper. She's like, stop. No, not the grasshopper. No, Andy, look at the grasshopper. She said, he got up and he got the cane and broke the glass in front of me and said, never drink a grasshopper. It's evil. And just stared at me for like 5 minutes.
What does that even mean? Why was she upset about the grasshopper?
Well, look at his paintings, dear. Grasshoppers are the devil to him.
Oh.
Grasshopper is like complete evil. So he freaked, and so that was the beginning of our night. The whole thing turned surreal. I can't get into it.
It turns surreal.
It was a 6-hour. I can't even tell you what went down.
Will we get it in the autobiography? Will you finally tell us in the memoirs? Was it Madonna? It was Madonna, wasn't it?
Who's
you were
that?
with.
I never heard of Madonna yet.
Are you writing a book?
The movie will say it all.
The movie will stare.
Is the movie a documentary or a movie?
It's a documentary, but I want it to be like totally like a contradiction to reality. But I want it to be exciting. I don't want it to be like, and then Joey was born here, and then Joey went chronologically there.
Everything that I'm doing right now, I'm so sorry.
It's everybody's got a documentary. Everyone that I want mine to open up with like 2 people in a hospital stealing this baby, and as they're driving away, you see Area 51, and then you see them put the baby in this hospital, and the next thing they give the baby to this woman. And that baby's me. That I want it to be totally like this weird. What Joey? What? But fact with contradictions, and I want it to be entertaining. So you're kind of like, what? I want Ruben Toledo to be my artistic director.
Nice.
Because he knows me. His eyes are so great. The way because I tell people, I know what I can give you, but you see me, and I don't know what you see, and I want him to do that. Because I'm not a director, and not so I surrender that part. So someone has to be like, this is what I think you are, and I'm like, yeah. I will have complete control at the end to watch it. Like, no, yeah.
How far along is it?
It's about that long. Stop. To tell you the truth, we don't know yet. You just met the director.
Oh, right. Okay.
It could be anything. It could be a miniseries. It could be a movie. I don't know. It could be on World of Wonder. It could be World of Wonder one day.
Oh, you're kidding. We'd love to.
Well, let's go to Danceteria.
Okay.
The first one and the second one. What are your memories there? Because I know that Rudolph was gushing on about your Dalian Gala that you did with Ann Magnuson and the Edie and Andy shows that you would do. What are your memories of Danceteria, and what stands out performance-wise?
Danceteria was on 38th Street, I think, in like 8th or something. Do you guys remember that?
The first one, right?
The first one, yes.
Yeah.
Kind of like a shady warehouse, kind of like upstairs, downstairs, and all these televisions and showing videos, and it was an area for the band to play, and it was hysterical. There was nothing like that. And so we had a band called Strange Party, and they invited us to play there. And
it's you and Ann Magnuson, right?
No, it was called Strange Party. It was a band. Ann and I didn't do anything till 85. It was much later. And so Danceteria was hysterical. It was just a bombed out, crazy, no liquor license, whatever, just got in there. And I know that they got busted for no liquor license, whatever. They closed it down. Then they opened on 21st Street, and they got their papers together. And that was a 3-story, 4-story, whatever. And that became like the playground for all of us. But you keep bringing Andy and Edie up. It was because I had to portray Andy at the store Fuchi for his birthday with 10 other people looking like Andy. So when Andy walked in, he was like, oh my God, look, all the Andys. But Andy looked at me and went, you look more like me than anybody else. So Ann walked in, and Ann looked at me and said, she started laughing. She goes, oh my God. She goes, I should be Edie. Why don't we do the Andy and Edie show based on Sonny and Cher? And so we put together this program called the Andy and Edie Show, and we did it at Danceteria, the Congo Bill Room. We put all tin foil and silver balloons and television monitors, and we came out singing "I Got You, Babe," And Anne was like all fucked up with like heroin marks on her arm, and me with a Polaroid camera, and people. And we showed home movies, and it was hysterical. And then at the end, Anne goes, "Andy, I think it's time to go." And I'm like, "I'm having fun." And she goes, "Well, you not after I do this," and she had like a gun, and she shoots me on stage, like pow, pow, pow. And like, and then we turn around and go, "Oh, Edie, you're so funny," and we'll laugh. After the show, Andy was downstairs. Andy's like, "That was the best show I ever saw in my life. It was better than Broadway." I said, "What do you think?" He goes, "You're a good me." I said, "How about Anne?" He goes, "Oh, Anne was great as the dead girl."
He wouldn't even say her name.
And I said, "You mean Edie?" He goes, "Yeah, the dead girl." He didn't even say. He said, "Great as the dead girl."
That's
Wow.
funny.
So he gave it all the productions.
That's interesting. I remember that picture. There's of you as Andy, and there was John Sex as Andy, and Edwige was Andy too, and was Alan Midget and Andy too.
Paige Wood. It was a whole bunch of us.
Oh right, okay.
So eventually Andy gave me one of his wigs, which is great.
Wow.
Still have it?
Yeah. I have a lot of artwork at the house right now.
I would love to come and play. I think in your closet,
Oh my God.
in your archives.
What else do you guys want to know? I've got tons of stories.
Well, I want to go to the first time that you did Billie Holiday at Limelight for Gaylord. Remember, it was '86, and you came out and did Billie. How is it that did you know that you could channel Billie? How do you know she was inside of you?
When I was a kid, because I used to listen to my parents' album, hear Bowie, rock and roll, this and that, and then Billie Holiday would play, and I used to think to myself, that voice, I want that voice. I don't want to be Billie Holiday. I want that sound. So I used to listen to the way she carried on those words. And so that's what I sing, and I tried it, and it was very private. So that was when I was a kid. I come to New York, and I remember somebody said to Andy, "Andy, you should hear Joey sing like Billie Holiday." So he closed his eyes, and I sang "Good Morning Heartache," and he opened his eyes, and he went, "Wow, I love your new voice." That's all he said. And so I always sang "Good Morning Heartache," and then I was invited to sing at the Limelight, and I was like, "What am I gonna do? I don't know." So I put this chiffon gown on, a big gardenia, and sang "Good Morning Heartache." And then I was doing Wigstock as Justine, and then Bunny one time said, "Honey, can you do something pretty like the Billie Holiday thing at Wigstock? We have so many kooky acts." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Then I kept thinking, "Oh my God, how am I going to do this correctly without offending anybody?" And then my friend Tony, who's black, he said, "Look at the Billie Holiday, satin, lady in satin. Just pull your hair back and be elegant." And then we went to Wigstock, and that's when you guys saw me sing "Good Morning Heartache," and everybody just was like, but I have been performing her voice styling as a guy. So I keep telling people, I got paid $100, $200, and also here I'm in drag. I'm getting paid. I'm being offered $1,000 or more. So I kept thinking, $100 as a boy, $1,000 in drag. I think I'm gonna do it in drag now. So the drag just started to evolve, and I hated drag. I tell you, I couldn't stand drag. Never. I was so freaked out by drag. I used to be taking the drag clubs when I came to New York, and I'd run. And the reason I got into drag is because Andy Warhol had a Halloween party in drag. And that's why Justine was born. And I completely freaked out. I was like, no, not a drag party. So it was all the artists, and then like our gang, Keith and Basket. It was like everybody was in drag. So I had to get dressed in drag. So my friend got me dressed in drag, and I literally was like, I couldn't even walk in heels that high. I was so like freaked out. And people saw me and they said, "What's your name?" And it was a bookshelf, and I saw Justine. And I went, "Justine? Wow, Justine, you look great." And then Andy was taking Polaroids. He goes, "Well, who are you?" I said, "Justine." He goes, "Justine what? Jasad?" Then he comes up to me and goes, "Who are you for real?" I said, "Joey Arias." He went, "Wow, you need to be in drag all the time." I was like, God damn it. And so people started, hiring me in drag, and I was like, didn't want to do it. And then
Why didn't you want to do it? What freaked you out about it?
it just wasn't my thing. You know what? I didn't like the impersonation of the Judy Garlands and the Barbara Streisands, and it just wasn't in my psyche of like the art form. I was like beyond something more extraterrestrial, I think, probably. It just seemed to be so pedestrian to me in a weird way that I just thought, but it wasn't until Bunny and all that whole crew showed up at the pyramid that I got it. I mean, I could watch a drag show because it was hysterical. It was like such dimension and like completely
It wasn't female impersonation anymore. It had gone into its own art form, I guess.
it was turned to like a wiki wacky wonderful world of like ridiculousness, and it was so much fun. So I loved going and seeing the shows, and we'd all go from 57, go and watch them and like laugh. But I still wasn't doing drag yet, not me, but I could watch it. So I started getting, oh wow, this is fun, this is great. But then, eventually I started, putting on the drag, and you know what? It did well by me. I'm very proud of it. And I tell people, don't be afraid of like or shy of what made you who you are, because it's part of my history. The drag.
Yeah, I never really thought of you as a drag queen. It's funny because like I've always thought of you as
Performance artist.
that being part of your art. Like yeah. It's weird. This makes sense. Hearing this now, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, because I'd done all these other looks and different points, and the devil horns and the and the Klaus Nomi. Even now I'm in transition right now. I'm morphing into this new thing right now, using a little bit of element of drag. That's why I hate using that extraterrestrial thing. It's like I'm looking at what I've done and trying to reimagine what I'm going to present now for 2022 for the album. And it's very musical, of course, but the music will tell me, and visually it'll tell me also. But of course, I'm always going to paint up, and people still call me a sissy when they see me on the street, or I get in the car and they're like, "Yes, miss, can I help you, miss?" I'm like, "Oh." When I hear that, I'm like, "Oh yes, I'm fine. Yes, I changed my voice," and then I get a free cab ride.
But drag was good for you. I mean, during the Bardot years, right?
I was full on. I loved it. Are you kidding me? Yeah, because I was doing the Billie Holiday shows. Then Jean-Marc brought us to Bardot, and I kept doing New Look. So I threw in the Betty Page wig because I had a real spot short haircut, and that was the beginning of that whole, again, the image change. And then people kept saying, "Wow, you look like Betty Page." So then I started doing more Betty Page. And then I wound up being in Betty Page's book and meeting Betty Page in LA before she passed away.
Wow.
So it was kind of weird to do. And then she was like, "I can't believe you like to dress up like me." She was so sweet, this little old lady, but she looked like Betty Page, with white hair.
So Bardot was happening.
And that's when a lot of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. That was a lot of cock sucking. Can I say that on the show?
Sure, please. The more the merrier.
Oh yes, you could say that.
It was like, it got so crazy because we were drinking, and then we'd do like some bumps towards the end of the show, and it'd be like in the dressing room, in the toilet, cock sucking left and right. It was insane.
And who are the other performers with you?
Sherry, well, the original was like Edwige, Raven, and myself.
Right.
After 2 months, Edwige had to go, and then I got Sherry in. So of course Sherry's like cocksucker number one.
Sherry Vine.
So we Raven do her thing. I'd be standing there, and Sherry would be next, and all of a sudden and now Sherry Vine. Everyone's applauding, like, "Where's Sherry Vine?" So she's in the bathroom. I opened the bathroom, I could see Sherry's knees, and I could see some guy here going, "Oh," and Sherry was like, "I'm almost done, girl." And so Raven kept talking, and Sherry would come out with her lips a little messed up, and she's like, "I was a little busy," and some guy would walk out. So that became Sherry Vine. It was completely insane. So it became, then we go to Jackie's 60 and meet people there, and I'd bring people back to my apartment. So whatever, it was a lot of shit went down during the Bardot times. I'm an angel now.
Thinking back of so many different parts of your career and different eras of your career, did you ever think that like it's over and then like before you reinvented yourself, was there ever a moment where you were worried and you about what was coming next? No?
I was engineered to perform. My life is what I'm doing. I've worked my whole life since I was a child what I'm doing. Even my parents knew it. So why at some point would I go, well, I guess that's it now. I guess I'm going to go work as a typist at some corporation. I don't think so.
So there's never going to be a time where you will not be performing. When you were 102, you're still going to be on stage and in a wig and a
202.
As you've been performing all these years in New York and you've seen nightlife change, I'm curious, like what did you make of the Club Kids and Michael Ehrlich and that whole scene? You know, what was your take on that?
Well, I came from a whole different world when it came to the Club Kids because I was like, Club 57 and the art world and stuff. But, we go to the Limelight because of, it's happening. And I thought, what a bunch of wild kids that are trying to prove something. I kept thinking they wanted to prove something. The more outrageous they were, the more you look at them. That's what I kind of was getting from it. And the more ridiculous you were, the more attention you were getting. And then I probably go once a week or whatever. And I started, Richie Rich and so. And I started becoming friends with some of them. And they were just really cute. I really liked them. They were youngish. They were kind of a little younger than I was. And so I didn't dress like them. Suzanne would pop in. It wasn't part of that, but it was just part of this gang, this wild group of people. And Michael Ehrlich was kind of that ringleader who I didn't really like because I knew he was kind of up to no good. Because I know at one point somebody said, "Don't drink the punch because he's got hepatitis and he's just peed in it," and he put acid in there. And I was like, "Oh, you were part of that gang, whatever." James St. James. And I was like, but you were fab. There were certain people that really were like, that you were more classier, like more, Amanda. Certain people just stood out on their own. Other words, with the giant platform shoes and shaved heads and over the top. Okay, it's like, I was watching it all, like going to the Natural History Museum and watching something really crazy. But I was kind of weary of Michael Ehrlich. And I remember one time Lee Bowery was there because I was friends with Lee for years. And then Lee was really upset. And they had Lee in this one little offside room. I said, "What's wrong?" He goes, "Well, Michael had me flown me in to do a show. And they want me to perform in this little room." I was like, "Are you shitting me?" Everyone was waiting outside. Then Michael walked in and said, all pompous, "Are you ready for the show here?" I turned around to Michael and I said, "How dare you?" He looked at me, gave me this look. And I turned around and slapped the shit out of him. And he fell and ran. and then they got Mike Gation, and I said, "How do you get a Lee Bowery, who's he's the godfather, the saint to all his work?" He goes, "Yeah, what's it?" And then he put him on the main stage, and Michael was afraid of me after that. He would run every time he saw me. He ran.
That's funny with good reason.
Yeah, I stopped. Literally, I thought his teeth fell out. I the living shit. I was so angry with him. But eventually, I became, I was friends with the Club Kids, and it's funny to see who the next generations are. And you just gotta. I love it. I think it's great.
What do you think of nightlife now in New York?
Nightlife in New York is great because I think it's morphed into what it is. It's a lot coming out of Brooklyn. People are doing things in New York kind of underground-y, really weird. We have the Barshland New York show that's like 500 packed and the craziest acts. I mean, on Broadway, and people are going bananas. There's things happening all over the place. Little events, little things. It's not what, but that's what they call it New York because it's reinventing itself. It's never going to be what it was then. And you have to forget about that. I don't yearn for the yesteryear. I look forward to what's coming. I see the whole new generation. I think the 20, 21-year-olds are the people like us. You see them in the East Village, dressed up. And people look at them and they're like, "Who are these people?" I said, "That's like the 20-year-olds. This is like the Z generation. They're fantastic." And they're curious about, again, about our world, but not like other generations. But yeah, I think our generation was where everybody kind of like went. That was the end when AIDS and whatever stopped there, and then creativity stopped with our gang in a way. I think. Am I wrong or?
Well, we were talking about this earlier and trying to sort of think about why people seem so fascinated with this period and why New York nightlife. And it does seem that that was the final period before everything went digitally and virtual and online. And, I think the iPhone, I don't regret the iPhone, but I think it has been a seismic change, in the way people interact. And I think people who've grown up with this are suddenly kind of curious about what it was like before that, because it was a sort of, you would go to these art galleries, these clubs, you would see these people, you'd bump into each other on the street. It was like, in retrospect, it was a very, it was community. I think community is such a weird word because at the time you just don't feel it. You're like, what is community? It feels like some sort of do-goodery type thing. But actually, in retrospect, now you're like, oh yeah, that was community. The East Village, Sister Dimension, going to the Pyramid, going to the Wawa. Just going to all these places and bumping into each other.
That's how we communicated. That's how we met each other. That's how we exchanged ideas. You carried a couple of quarters in your pocket to make that phone call to tell people where you're at, and that's how we met. And that's how we never had phones at home. We all hung out in the street. Club 57, the Mud Club, Studio 54. Or whatever, you went out and were part of nightlife.
Did you go to Studio 54?
Well, Fiorucci's the story. And so Carmen D'Alessio and Steve Rubel, they used to come shopping in there. Elio Fiorucci went with them to the club in Queens. Somehow Elio was like, Steve Rubel, it's Fiorucci, the store, and big, blah, blah. So when 54, Fiorucci was in cahoots with, they never talk about the documentary. And I remember Antonio Lopez was like one of the art directors for the opening. And we were part of the opening. When it opened up that day, it was like, the discos were like small. Everything was small. And to walk into a palace, it was like, oh my God. 54 is blocked off. There's like a mob scene. And we were in the front. That was with Elio Fiorucci, all the Italians. People squashed with Antonio trying to get in. And when they opened the velvet rope, we were the kind of the first ones walking in, and we just could not believe it. It was like the Palace of Versailles, and it was just so. You just could not believe it. There was nothing like it. And so I used to go like 3 times a week, 4 times a week, and then dance till like 4 a.m. Get home, sleep a couple hours, and go to Fiorucci, at 8 a.m. But I'm 20 years old at the time, so.
After Klaus died, which I know is still gotta hurt all these years later.
Give it to me. I've been punched many times.
But you were the executor of his estate, and I just wonder, like, what on a day-to-day level that means, and what it is that you do to keep the legacy alive and keep the memory alive of all of that.
When Klaus died, he said, "Please, his image is part of the legacy of Klaus." He just said, if they ever do a documentary on my life, this is how I want it. I want it to be like a fairy tale book. Like the Walt Disney movies when they open up like Snow White and Cinderella. He wanted to open up like that. And like a pop-up book, like when you open these books and these things that open up, Klaus wanted to have it to be something like that. Unfortunately, the Nomi song was not that. I was supposed to work with him, and that's another story, which I hated that movie.
Nomi Song is the documentary that came out about 5 years ago that was not part of his estate.
Hated it. And because it was not true, a lot of stuff was false. People took on more credit than anyway. So I promised Klaus I would watch after the legacy. So I keep my eye on everything that's Klaus. I have everything of Klaus. Right now, Harvard purchased my archives. So everything now lives in Harvard to protect all the Klaus's art as a kid, all his photos. The costumes are going to go, we're working on that right now, all the costumes. And so, I'm in charge. No, I'm the only one that really knows Klaus, the simple man, to when I was with him on his last day, dying. He was like a skeleton, holding him, talking to him. Like, so I know, it's a lot, And I pray to Klaus every day, like literally, like Klaus, watch after me, because I went through rehab and I kind of had this 1 year. I went off like about a year and a half. I fucked up. I wound up drinking like every day, 24 hours a day, white wine, and taking opiates for I don't know how it happened. And at one point, I tried to stop, and I was going through withdrawal, and I was like here in the window, praying to Klaus. Klaus, please listen to me. I want to be Joey. Help me get this out of my system. And I guess he answers my prayers. And Kim had an intervention, and about 35 people came together and took me to a rehab for 3 months. Well, detox is what saved it. But so now I'm back to Joey again. I just like a year and a half up. Not 30 years of getting fucked up, but just a year. How a year can really fuck you up bad.
Well, congratulations. That is an amazing, it's an amazing thing to fight and to overcome. And
I tell people, they're like, I can't believe they went to rehab, but they're back to drinking. I'm like, well, because they didn't want it. They don't want to stop. I wanted this like out. I want to be like Joey talking to you and making sense and not like looking at something to drink or, it's finished. I drank my whole life. I took snorted coke. I did. It's boring now.
Fenton, Randy, is there anything that I've forgotten that you guys want?
Oh my God! There's hours worth.
Well, I know we haven't even gotten to Basil with a Twist. We haven't done Zumanity. We haven't.
After I did Zumanity, that's another weird stuff that I was like Mugler and myself were the like ground zero of that show. That was a $500 million production. It was unbelievable. Mugler, so then I did that for 6, 7, actually it was longer because I was with them, blah, 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 blah. I left, met Basil, and I was a big fan of Basil's art, art creativity. I used to always see his shows and be thinking, oh my God, I'd love to be in one of his puppet shows one day. So then here I am, and he's like, I'm going to do something in about 4 or 5 months. I got 3 weeks, we're going to do something together. And I thought, yeah. And he goes, what do you want to do? And I said, well, I want to go on an acid trip. I want to be abducted by aliens and I want a first big Buckley finale. He goes, okay. And then a day later, he came up with this, like, started doing it. And before I knew it, it was coming together. And I was like, oh my God, it was really, and we were running and doing and music and this, it was totally, it was literally, I was on tour, he was on tour. So it was like a nightmare. I cried before that opening, before the first time. Sherry was even like, we were in Amsterdam, and she would go out, and I'd miss all, I just wait. They're memorizing the songs and crying. She goes, why didn't you come out? I said, I couldn't memorize this shit. And I was like, I can't. She goes, girl, it's going to be fire with that. And anyway, because I had to memorize all this stuff and write the script. And then the rehearsals, it was like a nightmare.
But that's where art comes from. That's when you're sobbing and crying and on your knees. That's when your greatest performance happens.
Right, and I cried. Believe me, I cried for that show. Like really, and I cried so much that the New York Times said, "Madonna, eat your heart out," and gave us 2 pages, and me in the cover of the art section with my hands out. And after that came out, the show was like sold out for a year. I was like. 3 weeks, a year. Oh, that was that. But I love you guys, and I'm so excited to be this. Did we talk about it? I kept thinking it was going to get nasty and silly, or
I think we got pretty nasty. I think we got pretty nasty and silly in there.
It's hard to top Freddie Mercury being double-fisted or like every spit roasted. That's what
you know what? People always see me, and they always put my name with cocksucking. I'm going to get on this phone every day.
That's right. That's how we're going to introduce you. We'll say cocksucker Joey Arias. We'll take out all the other stuff about the performance and the shenanigans.
Everybody send me, like, from all over the world, every morning, like, people send me their cock. I get people, like, soliciting me, like, oh, can I come over? I get cock this, cock that, bigger cock. I got this guy with a 20-inch penis that's like, if I showed you this, can I show
Jonah
this on
Falcon,
screen?
Of course.
Oh.
Jonah, right?
No.
No, but you've been
No.
on Jonah Falcon before. I know you have.
No, this is not that. We got when you see this. I'm Jonah Falcon, honey. Okay, 1 second. Here it comes.
I love the fact you have to find it. Like, how many penises are you scrolling through?
Okay, wait, hold on.
Oh my gosh. How does that even work? It's fatter at the end than at the top.
It's like 25 inches long.
Oh my
And
god!
it goes from thin to thick.
No. It's the angle of the camera. It's like a monster cock. I mean, Jonah is like this compared to this guy. This guy, I met him. He's an artist. He's a painter. He told me he jerks off once a month into a bucket, and he showed it to me like him coming like jerking like this and come gushing out like I mean, it's like Niagara Falls. It's like I mean, people contacted me with cocks. That's one of them.
Well, we reached out to you not because of that. We reached out because we adore you and we think you're such a brilliant artist.
Thank you
And
so
it's
Yeah.
been
much.
amazing to reconnect. And I'm so excited about the new, your music.
Thank you.
And
Album, the documentary, all of it.
Well, I want to thank you guys also for what you did to the, I didn't mention it, but what the Drag Race did for the world accepting drag. It became like part of culture now. It's like people aren't afraid of it's you know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about?
The mainstream of
It's like
drag.
really
Yes.
mainstream, and you guys have done something really phenomenal and really fantastic. And all your projects, every time I see World of Wonder, I'm like, what are they doing now?
have you seen the Wojnarowicz film? We need to send you the David Wojnarowicz film.
No, I've not seen it.
Oh, I would really like for you to see it, and I'd be curious to know what you think about it. And we can send you a link.
Okay, but that
I
would be
think-
wonderful. Thank you. I would love that. That'd be great. And but no, you guys. So if you're saying to me, I'm just saying to you, as like I've known you since when you had the Pop Tarts and performing at the Pyramid Club, and all of us together with James St. James. That here we are, like still surviving in the world of arts, and we're at in our careers, and here we are, friends, talking together, and not like oh. It's just like here we are.
No, exactly.
It's a mutual, like the thing is, we've all been through it in different ways, and to still be at it, we're all a little older. It's like it inspires. Well, for me, it's inspiring just to connect and to hear that you're still there doing it, and it excites me to think about your future. So
Thank you so much.
thank you.
I love all your stories, even the filthiest cock stories, because you engineered to perform, and you have, and you are.
And let's see what else is coming up. I haven't even talked about some of the other shows I've done. There's more still, but thank you so much. It's a journey. It's an ongoing journey. It won't stop. And I tell somebody, my next final, what I think would be for me, would be connecting the soul to the A&I. I've already been talking to some people already, like who are scientists, to make like a robot of Joey, and then
A Joey bot.
a Joey bot. And then when I'm about to like pass over, to get my soul or the brain, or whatever it is, and incorporate it with the artificial intelligence, so it'd be like a Joey new life into the 23rd, 24th centuries, whatever. That's how I see myself.
So the world will never be done with Joey Arias. Never, ever, ever. And when we move into space, you will be an AI presence in space. You will be Hal in 2001 Space Odyssey.
Open the pod bay doors, Joey.
I don't think I can do that.
Why? Why do you want me to do that? I love you.
I love you.
I love
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you so much. Yes.
Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody.